Hello everyone, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever and whenever you are. I hope you are doing okay. And if not, listen, I need a hug. You probably need a hug. I'm just gonna give everyone a big old virtual hug. I was really hopeful to post a video last week and I didn't get to it. Unfortunately, I had to say goodbye to my little furry Kit Kat, which was really hard, but that's the most I'm going to say about it. So if I seem a little kind of down or slow in this video, that's probably why. That's why I need a hug. But everyone could always use a hug. Today we are commonplacing 2 different spreads. I'm basically finishing one from a while ago, which tends to be happening quite a bit now, as I'll put in a few things and then there will be blank space and then, I'll go back in and fill it in. So that's what we're doing today. I have been seeing a lot about dandelions lately, and that might just be because it's, at least where I am, the dandelions are finally starting to sprout. Last Thursday was the first day I saw them, and I saw them for the first time as soon as I came home from the vet. So I don't know what's that about. I had commonplace this before, and I've just been seeing a lot about dandelions and kind of how magical they are. Took the audio of an Instagram reel, which I'll link down below in case you're curious, about the magic of dandelions, and typed it out and printed it out. And then they were making a piece of art. I think it's called canotyping. They were making that in the reels, so I went ahead and printed a photo. They actually sell the prints, so you should probably get one of those. But I just wanted something small for my commonplace, so I'll link the artist down below. And for the first time ever, I am removing a sticker and moving it. I didn't know if this would work. I was hoping it did. It did end up working. This was a sticker I randomly found too. I usually don't put stickers in my book. Usually everything is printed. But this, again, was about the magic of dandelions, how they are extremely useful and medicinal and magical, and yet no one pays attention to them, or we live in a kind of a world where they're deemed to be weeds, and a lot of the times people are trying to get rid of them, especially with like lawn culture and whatever. Like, I remember bringing my mom home dandelions, or my mom thought it was cute, but my dad was like, those are weeds, and was trying to kill all of them in the backyard. Little did I know at the time that, it's an extremely useful herb and medicinal remedy. I've not yet made anything with dandelions or tried them. Other herbs have kind of caught my attention. Also, the downstairs neighbor is playing music. He's been playing it on and off all day. So I hope you don't hear any thumping or bass in the background. I can't really help it. The weather is finally really good this week, or the past couple of days, so people have just been going crazy with the music. But yeah, dandelions are extremely magical, and I have kind of some personal associations with them. My niece really loved them when she was younger. I don't know if she still does, because I haven't been to visit since spring. But she loved dandelions and she loved trying to blow them, and she was so little that she often needed help to kind of blow the seeds. And the reel says that it represents the moon, the sun, and the stars, which I thought was really pretty and very interesting. So I saw that, and then something else came up with dandelions, and I was like, this is crazy. So maybe I need to kind of meditate on the idea of dandelions or go pick some. I thought about picking some today, but then I woke up and I heard the weed whackers, and I was like, oh, there go the dandelions. Because I live in a complex that, doesn't like weeds. I was gonna try some new teas this week. kind of inspired by wanting to get into herbalism. I sort of always have been interested, but have never done much about it. So I ordered some tea, and of course it says it was delivered, but there's absolutely nothing in my mailbox. So I have to contact the company, and they have to ask to be 3 business days because they're often found. I'm like, no, probably got put in the wrong mailbox, and I don't really know if people these days are the kind of people to turn that in. I've gotten wrong mail in my mailbox, and I always give it to the office. But yeah, unsure. So I really liked how this spread ended up. I really liked the pink and the blue with the Barbie. I don't know, it just ended up being really satisfying to me. And then we move on to our second spread, which is about how they found a new wildflower or sunflower in Texas, and like it looks like a little cactus succulent thing, which I thought was super cool, and I wanted to write about it because one thing I also want to write about or commonplace about that I just haven't gotten to yet is that like anglerfish that like swam up to the surface of the ocean, saw the sun, and then died, because I feel like it really struck a chord with a lot of people, and so I think it was very interesting in like a societal way. And this kind of felt like the same way. I didn't hear like anything about it. I think I saw like 2 things on either of my Instagram accounts. So one Instagram account probably influenced since I liked it and saved it to appear on my other Instagram account. But I don't know, I feel like a lot of times we don't live in an age of like discovery of like, except for Australia. Like Australia seems to always be newly identifying terrifying creatures. But everywhere else in the world doesn't seem to be doing that. And so I thought it was very interesting that we discovered something, and I kind of was just pondering the idea of like, how many times do I hike and I see like this weird plant or this weird thing that I've never seen before, and have just always assumed that it's always been there, and like, what if it's new, what if no one's ever seen it before, and like, what if no one's ever recorded it before? So it kind of made me feel like the idea of like plant identification apps where people take pictures and like upload their location, and like that's how like new plants are found, and that's crazy, and how kind of useful just daily cataloging is. I also saw, it was on Instagram, but it was originally a Reddit post about how do you guys find things to journal about? And someone replied, if I have nothing to journal about, they default to writing about just like daily events and like the really mundane things about like what's happening in the news, or what recipe they used to cook for dinner, and what tools they were using, or what they were watching on TV or YouTube that day, because it will serve as a really great record in the future. Like they were even like, egg prices are crazy right now, like write down the price of eggs where you are, and kind of the idea of like journaling for record keeping, and how precious like we often forget that like we are living in the present, and like oftentimes we feel like we're not or I don't know, maybe lately we've been witnessing too much history, but we have the power to like make sure that the future world has information. Like when you think about the Celts, or I think a lot of Welsh, I'm not really well versed in it, mythology has been missing, or like the Vikings. So much was oral tradition, and so we don't know what is true and what is fact and what actually happened. There's a lot of things that are buried in myth versus reality, and I think like I have always journaled that way. Like in a way, I of course always journal for myself, right? You have to write like no one is going to read it, and you have to commonplace like no one is going to judge you for like writing down about these like weird things that interest you or whatever, and you have to write your journal the same way. Like you have to be extremely honest about how you write your feelings, but also at the same time I have always kind of kept in mind, okay, I am gonna die one day, and like whether it's like a future relative or a historian, someone's gonna read this and they might need additional context. So every time like I write a name, for example, in parentheses I write like my sister or my coworker, or I kind of try and give some context as to who they are, because you never know you just never know. Like, you never know who's gonna be reading it. I do that with scrapbooking too. I feel like a lot of the times my mom would open an old scrapbook and be like, oh yeah, I don't remember who that is. I don't remember their name. And it would kind of bother her. So what I started doing in my scrapbooks is creating like a key that I tape into the back, and it's like, on this page, this picture is so-and-so, and this is how old we were, because I know, like, I'm gonna get old, and like, yeah, like I said, like, I know I said like relatives are historians, but like, you never know, you 10 years later could go back and reread this and like just need some more context or have forgotten things and stuff like that. So yeah, record keeping is important, and doing little things like taking pictures to identify plants later, and like, you know, so much data is collected like on those plant identifier apps or Google that, like, I don't know, you could discover something. We're still living in a time where discovery is a possibility. So yeah, that's basically kind of the summary of why I was commonplacing this. I'm also trying to get to know the plants where I live a lot more, so I went on a hike, and I started to see like these purple flowers, so I took a bouquet of them home, and I started to see a bunch of new things sprouting, and it was really interesting because some plants are familiar. Like, there was a yellow flower, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a buttercup, but I am in a completely different location, so maybe it's something different. Like, let me take a picture, just in case it's different, and then learning like what Oregon grape looks like, and then seeing a little bit of dried yarrow that hasn't like rebloomed or regrown yet. It's like this really weird dichotomy of like old and new. A lot has been changing in my life the past year, and the whole journey to become more connected to the land that I'm currently on, and therefore to myself, because I do find a lot of personal connection. Like, I feel more secure and safe if I kind of know what's around me. That sort of thing, getting to know plants has been really helpful. And I made a Tumblr post about, like, you just have to go outside. Like, just go outside, just take pictures, just be a little inquisitive and try and figure out what things are, and like, you'd be surprised how much you can learn. And then, you know, I went for a walk the other day, and I was like, oh, I know what that's called now, I know what that's called now. And it kind of just makes you feel a little bit more at one with your landscape, at one with your surroundings. I keep also seeing an Instagram post or a variation of the same Instagram post. I think it's one of those where like a company or some foundation posted it, and now other people are taking it and rewriting it, but it's the same. And it's about how we don't recognize any plants around us anymore. Like, we can recognize company logos with the names taken off, but we cannot recognize plants that grow like down the street, and kind of what that is saying about society and all of that. And I also think a lot of people are thinking apocalyptically right now, which I can't say I blame them. And so I feel like there is kind of this resurgence of trying to get to know plants around us, trying to get to know the world around us, because maybe one day that will be all we have, which is a terrifying thought, and I hope not. I'm just a girl on a YouTube channel trying to talk to get through her grief. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it is kind of worth noting and worth talking about that, like, yeah. And I know how to sew, and I know how to cook, but like, if the grocery store went out, would I know how to forage? Like, if the apocalypse happened and suddenly I needed to make my own clothes, would I know how to do it? And like, that idea of community and skill sharing around your community, not the company, is very interesting, and has been not really on my mind, but has kind of been popping up. And I'm very curious as to whether that's just because of the landscape that we're in currently in the world, which I try not to talk too much about world issues because I think this is supposed to be an escape. Or if it's just like the algorithm, once you click on one thing, more of it comes up, stuff like that. Who knows? But we are almost done with this spread. I'm just writing down the source, which I've been kind of bad about doing on a film lately. but I'm writing down the source of the article. It actually ended up being a Better Homes and Gardens article, but a lot of things like the Washington Post are like stuck behind a paywall, so you never know. So yeah, it ended up being Better Homes and Gardens, and I ended up writing in the left-hand column and then the wider column on the right, and I left the skinny right-hand column open because I think I'm going to print out a picture of Oppenheimer, the movie poster, and write about watching that. That's what me and my boyfriend watched a couple weekends ago on the couch, and it was a really good movie. It was not what I expected, but also what I expected. Definitely worthy of the Oscars it won, for sure. But yeah, so I am totally a firm believer in this whole leaving blank space to fill in later, because you never know what tiny thing, like I wouldn't want to dedicate a whole page to Oppenheimer, because like my review ended up being quite short. So yeah, I lost my train of thought. Seems to be happening a lot. I've been very social lately. I started taking a ceramics class, so hopefully I'll maybe have some footage next week to share with you guys about that. I made a mug and we'll be throwing on the wheel today. And then I've been really social. I've been just like hanging out with work friends a little longer. We went to my boyfriend's family's house yesterday for a little bonfire. It's weird. I'm an introvert. I kind of hated every bit of it and wanted to go home, but also I don't want to go home right now, especially at night, because it's a little lonely. But yeah, so being social is weird. So all the introverts out there, I don't know how the extroverts do it, man. I don't know how you do it, but also it is kind of nice and kind of fun because I feel like I have a really big community and support system around me, which is important. So yeah, I'm just rambling at this point, so I'm gonna go. There's just a few minutes left, but I hope you have a lovely, lovely day, evening, night, afternoon, morning, like I said, wherever and whenever you are, because you do 100% deserve it. You deserve happiness, you deserve love, you deserve support, you deserve all of the good, happy, feel good things. I will see you guys all next time.